Now that you have your shape drawn on your paper, you're going to look at this and decide if it looks like something you could make it into. It's kind of like when you look up into the sky and you see things in the clouds. So to get your creativity going, you might want to turn it a few different ways, flip it over. You might even ask somebody in your household what they see in it, or hold it up to a mirror. Sometimes that helps. This was another one I had worked on, and I was just kind of playing around. You know, what would this be? A nose? Could this be a mouth or a beak? Could this be a hat? So when I looked at this one, I tried several different things. At one point, I had this as a face with a funny hairdo, and I just wasn't happy with it. When I walked out of the room and came back, for some reason, I just happened to see a bird in it, and I decided to go with this. When you decide, draw your details in, because then you're going to add the details to your page that you covered with that shape. If you're worried, if you have a lot of interesting things on here and you're worried about getting them right and getting them the same on each one, on the back of mine, I actually just took my pencil and rubbed it over any of those lines that I wanted to repeat. So that way when I put it on here, I can trace over those lines, and it's very faint, but it's dark enough that I can go in and see and trace those on. Now, if you feel comfortable just drawing them in, that's okay too. So you'll draw all those little details in. And for mine, I had eyes and a smile. I added a wing to it. And then what you want to do is try to find a way to create contrast between one of your animals or objects or whatever it is and the other. So for example, if I want this head to stand out next to this bird, I did light and dark. I did, in this case, white and black. So I'm doing one just in pencil. Another idea for contrast, to make two things stand out next to each other or to look opposite of each other. And you could do something like Miss Flannery's. She did solid color against another one that is black and white pattern. Another idea you might come up with, this is another one of hers. She did a different animal. They're the same shapes, but in this shape she made a cat, and this shape she did a dog, and she created a checkerboard type pattern alternating not only animals but also light and dark. So now you can distinguish between each of the little puzzle pieces. So there's other ways you can create contrast that we'll talk about. For example, if you are thinking about color on the color wheel, the farther apart colors are on the color wheel, the more contrast they'll have. So if you do complementary colors across from each other, yellow and purple are opposite. Blue and orange would be another opposite. Red and green, another opposite. Or you could just do any other combination of lights and darks. Anything that stands out next to each other would be good contrast for this project. It is up to you what materials you want to use. So if you do not have any markers or Prismacolors at home, you can definitely still create contrast with values. Be sure if you're using pencil that you do a wide range. You want to have some white and then some midtones and some darks to create the ranges so that you have something stand out next to other things. If you're doing Prismacolor or marker, you just want to be sure it's neatly done, and watch out for, if you're doing pattern, be sure you watch for overshoots and undershoots where you go too far or don't go far enough to meet a line. Also, it's nice if you're doing Sharpie to do weighted lines, so you have some thin and thick and some darker areas in your Sharpie as well. So on this next part, this is the fun part, the creative part. You want to come up with an interesting design out of your shape. Find ways to create contrast between them, and when you are finished, you're going to take a picture and upload it for your final grade. Have fun and enjoy.